Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to the channel Football Therapy with me, your host, and Chelsea want goalkeeper Aaron Ramsdale from Arsenal, just as Rob Sanchez in goal looked pretty good last time out for Chelsea. Are we looking at another goalkeeper? We'll be talking about that, citing an article from the Daily Mail. Nizar Kinsella has also written on the Evening Standard what's going on with Caicedo and Romeo Lavia, which, let's be honest, would be welcome additions back into the squad. At this point, who knows, maybe Lavia in the starting lineup at some point as well. Also, Fabrizio Romano has spoken on the manager, Maurizio Pochettino. I'm getting all my people mixed up there, and I want to reflect on that today here. So thank you for joining me. Strap yourselves in. Let me know what you think of the stories as and when we go. And yeah, let's get into it. Alright, first of all, let's quickly just reiterate what Fabrizio Romano said. He says, look, Pochettino, touchdown at Chelsea, he said all the right things. He did basically the Thomas Tuchel as opposed to the alternative of Graham Potter. He did this is Chelsea, we want to win, no excuses, no excuses. Graham Potter was like, well, we're going to have a crack and see how we go, and young players and do, which obviously doesn't get the juices flowing. Now, already, Simon Johnson of The Athletic said that he doesn't think Pochettino's starting to make excuses, but he's starting to loosen up a little bit with this, we are Chelsea, we need to win now, no excuses. He's starting to bring in the kind of attitude of, look, mate, we've got 12 players injured. You know, these are all kids. I don't think he's complaining. He knew what the project was. He went in with his eyes wide open. He did weeks and weeks of interview process with the Chelsea hierarchy. They explained the long-term plan. Pochettino agreed. He signed up for this. Maybe not 12 injuries, but everything else. He knows essentially where Chelsea are, where they want to be, and what they've got to do. It's not like, wow, this is my squad, and they can't do anything, and this is really bad. It's more of a case of, yep, well, it's tough, probably more tough than I would have liked early doors, but these are a bunch of young players that have the next 8 to 10 years to develop as professional footballers. I'm certainly going to take them through the initial stages of that. And, you know, it does suck how maybe we're missing a goal scorer, but it sucks more that we're missing these profile of players that we've brought in that are all injured. I kind of get it, but understandably, us Chelsea fans just want to see us win games and score goals. But I wanted to reiterate what Romano said. I found it quite interesting that he decided to speak about that on his YouTube channel when he speaks about transfers, usually. Very interesting indeed. Let's see what Nizar Kinsella is saying on the Evening Standard. Chelsea injury latest. Moises Caicedo and Lavia updates as free hope to face Villa. Of course, next weekend we return to play Aston Villa. Chelsea's new £115 million signing Moises Caicedo is optimistic. The knee injury he suffered on the Ecuador duty is not serious and will be fit to face Villa on Sunday. Also, Caicedo was the last in. He was like the last back from international duty, so maybe there's something about that. In what would be a major boost for Chelsea as they bid to kickstart their stuttering season, the midfielder is expected to return against Villa at Stamford Bridge. Good, that is good, that's hugely positive, but it doesn't seem like the solution to our problems. I think Leslie Ugochukwu played very well in the midfield playing as Chelsea's CDM player. Granted, Bournemouth had chances, but look, it's going to be a welcome addition having our record signing back in the starting lineup, but personally, I don't think it's the biggest issue here. Caicedo missed Sunday's 0-0 draw against Bournemouth as a precaution after feeling some discomfort in his knee. So Chelsea are also set to be without Romeo Lavia for at least another month after the £58 million signing twisted his ankle in training. Lavia is yet to play since his summer move from Southampton and will not return before the October international break. How do we feel about Lavia? How do we feel? Obviously, he cost a lot of money. But how do we feel about his inclusion, him being slam dunked into the squad, and who knows, starting lineup? What do we expect from him? Of course, he's an interesting profile. He's not going to score goals. He's not going to play as like a CDM as Moises Caicedo. He's going to play as something a little bit in between, maybe a little bit of a Mateo Kovacic style. Let me know what you think about Romeo Lavia and what you think he will offer to this Chelsea team. So let me know so I can read, and other viewers and subscribers so we can all feast upon your knowledge, viewer. Football knowledge viewer. A football knowledge viewer you are. So yes, for the aforementioned injury list, Chelsea were about 12 first-team players against Bournemouth. But Noni Madueke and Mark Cucurella are pushing to return against Villa. Noni Madueke is a huge plus because he's an offensive player, and if there's one thing that Chelsea isn't at the moment, it's being offensive. Well, the only offensive Chelsea are at the moment is the type of football they're playing in terms of how we receive it. We are all offended, but on the pitch, strategically, and yeah, the jokes there, you get it. Armando Broja and Benoit Badiashile are both pushing to make their comebacks and could soon be eased in off the bench with their returns seen as increasingly imminent. Both of them are put in the starting lineup, to be honest. I'd be happy to see Benoit Badiashile maybe start with Levi Colwill. I know it's a big talking point whether to bench Thiago Silva or not. I don't think he's played bad, but it's more of a profiling thing. Either way, having Benoit Badiashile back is a good thing. You know, it's a good thing. Maybe you bench Disasi and you play Benoit Badiashile and Thiago Silva if Pochettino is insistent on still playing Levi Colwill as a left back, which I don't agree with. I imagine the majority of you don't agree with. So there is that. Just him coming back is a great thing. And of course, Broja, he's a friggin' striker. You know, I mean, Nico Jackson's had moments. He's looking like absolutely gassed. Bournemouth had a bad game, the worst game he's had for Chelsea in pre-season and these opening games, Nico Jackson. So did Enzo Fernandez, but on the Straight Out of Cobham podcast, the athletic podcast for Chelsea, they rightly highlighted that these two guys were on, long international breaks. Enzo Fernandez was playing at a very high altitude and had to travel loads back and just never stopped playing games. And maybe just both of them were gassed. Regardless, the reintroduction of Armando Broja could only do good things for our striker Nico Jackson, who I think is probably carrying a lot of pressure, dude. Do you know what I mean? Broja has been out since December after a knee surgery, while Badishile's still nursing a hamstring injury. Of course, Reece James and Carney Chukwuemeka are both doing solo training sessions with the ball. They will slowly be reintroduced to Pochettino's training sessions and are hopeful in return in the coming weeks. Pochettino wants Reece James back before the next international break. So do I. And if we can get Chukwuemeka back as well, that could be a good thing. That goal he scored against West Ham looked very, very positive indeed. And, he could only add something to the attack. And, of course, Nkunku and Fofana remain out longer. Toyam, oh, yeah. Okay, so the great returning players from injury, really, really positive. That's what we want. But the main thing here, and the main thing that we're all worried about and concerned about, is essentially staying fit. We can't get back to this 12-man injury list. It's an injury list of biblical proportions. You see Manchester United fans whinging about their injury list at the moment. Take a look at ours, mate. Worse than yours. Not that it's a competition, but if it was, we would win. So yes, really, really good. Before we jump into this article talking about Aaron Ramsdale, I did do a video on my second channel, Football Yannick, talking about Callum Hudson-Odoi. Of course, scored an absolute screamer on his Nottingham Forest debut. 22-year-old Callum Hudson-Odoi, Champions League, Europa League experience, has got caps for England. 5 years experience in the first team at only 22, 5 years experience at the highest level, still being 22, and just looks really, really, really good. He got everyone in the City grounder off their feet every time he got on the ball, and just scored potentially goal of the season so far. £3 million Forest got him for off us. If you want my detailed thoughts on that, please subscribe to Football Yannick, the sister channel, but do just check out the content and see if you like it, Right. Sammy Muckbell writes, Arsenal goalkeeper Aaron Ramsdale's future is being closely monitored by rival clubs after his role as first choice was thrown into uncertainty. As Mail Sport first predicted on September the 6th, summer signing David Raya was handed his Gunners debut in place of Ramsdale in the hard-fought 1-0 over Everton on Sunday. Yeah, that doesn't sound like a great sexy scoreline against Everton, who are in the relegation zone, but they've got the hoodoo over Arsenal. This is the first time they've won at Goodison Park in 4 years or something. I don't know if that's the right stat, but it's a long time. Arteta's decision to start Raya at Goodison Park has cast doubt over Ramsdale's position in his long-term plans. Well, not just this. As soon as they signed David Raya, he cost him didn't he cost 40 million quid? You don't just sign a goalkeeper like that to not do anything. As soon as that happened, everyone was like, uh-oh. Like, David Raya was being linked to Tottenham. Chelsea, you know, like, he's a good goalkeeper. So that all was cast out. We'll talk about Ramsdale in just a moment, but let's read on a little bit here. Before and after the win at Merseyside, Arteta intimated that he would look into to rotate the two goalkeepers this season, whilst also hinting that he is open to making goalkeeper substitutions during matches, which is nothing short of mental, if you ask me. But he's doing well at Arsenal, so maybe the musings of a madman are what work. Arteta's comments appeared to suggest Ramsdale has still an important role to play. Nevertheless, Ramsdale's situation is already interesting in a number of teams, with Chelsea and Bayern Munich among those understood to be keeping abreast of developments, amid a sense that Raya will overtake the England international and become the number one. Bayern Munich's interesting. Of course, they wanted Kepa, and Kepa wanted to go to Bayern until Real Madrid popped up, and then he was like, Real Madrid. Understandably, it's a Spain international. So Bayern is still looking for a goalkeeper. But Chelsea signed Robert Sanchez from Brighton this summer, but remain open to strengthening their goalkeeping options. It's no secret Bayern are looking for a long-term successor to Neuer, who turns 38 in March. That's nothing for a goalkeeper. We've got an outfield player who's 39. Given Arteta's remarks on how he views the goalkeeping position, it's likely any January interest in Ramsdale will be met with short shrift. But it remains to be seen how Arsenal in terms of how they receive offers next summer. Ramsdale himself goes into detail, talks about how he wants to be the England goalkeeper, yada, 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 yada. Yeah, you know, there was a lot of Arsenal fans, and indeed other football fans, saying Ramsdale should become England's number one over Jordan Pickford. But Jordan Pickford generally plays pretty well for England. I'm an England fan, and if I had to start a really important game tomorrow as Gareth Southgate, I would start Pickford just because he's had clutch moments, so these mental penalty saves and massive saves, and he's just, the vibes are carrying him forward as England's number one at the moment. But how do we feel about Aaron Ramsdale? Weird, maybe, like, he's a good goalkeeper, but what are we doing? You know, what are we doing here? And he would cost a lot of money, maybe 50, 60 million quid. I thought we were backing Rob Sanchez. I know Rob Sanchez hasn't got a lot of people overexcited, including me. I was very, very worried about him, especially prior to the Bournemouth game. But he's still quite young-ish, Rob Sanchez, and he, for a goalkeeper he is anyway, I think he's like 24 or something. You know, he could still be starting for Chelsea in 10 years in terms of age-wise. So he's still quite young. We've, of course, got the goalkeeping coach, Ben Roberts, that we absorbed from Brighton in the many, many people we took from Brighton, and he loves Rob Sanchez. Rob Sanchez loves him. They love each other. We've, of course, got Georgia Petrovic, the second-choice goalkeeper that is really highly thought of, and some people, even behind the scenes in his camp, and not even in his camp, will believe he can become Chelsea's first-team goalkeeper. If he does, that'll be a really cheap option, like the cheapest option for a long time. A top 4 clubs used for a first-choice goalkeeper. But Rob Sanchez played very well against Bournemouth. He did. He was our best player, statistically, I think, or certainly on these like metrics ranking sites. Everyone put Rob Sanchez at the top. He made saves, he made claims, he punched well, he distributed well. And I know it's Bournemouth, it was away from home, but he did his job, mate. He did his job. So I feel like he deserves more time to be analysed. I thought of that even before the Bournemouth game, even though I had my reservations, even though I had my concerns, you know. But I'm totally open for it to working. And like I keep saying on all these recent videos, at the moment, Chelsea's issue isn't defence or keeping the goals out. And, you know, Sanchez helped with that greatly last time out. It's scoring goals. And he is a cheap option. He'll be on low wages. Both our goalkeepers were cheap, and both of them are on low wages. Ramsdale would come in. He would want more wages, higher wages, and to command a big transfer fee. How do you guys feel about Aaron Ramsdale? I mean, Arsenal fans love him, so maybe some Chelsea fans will think, yeah, take their goalkeeper they like, and many of them still think he should start over Raya, and if we can have him at Chelsea, that would be funny. But, you know, I'm very interested in learning what you think, so please do comment down below your thoughts on Ramsdale. And indeed, the injuries and everything I've spoken about in the video, I'll be very keen to read your comments. Thank you for subscribing. If you choose to do so, turn the bell on, and I'd always waft you in the direction of Football Yannick, my second channel, for additional content. Any other housework? I'd stream on Twitch sometimes. Jan's Yard on Twitch. I'm going to buy EA FC24. Just rolls off the tongue, doesn't it? And we can stream together. I play in my living room on the sofa, and have a webcam in there on the PlayStation 5, so that's fun. All right, see you later.